me ask you a question. Uh, have you have you gone through a concept in Python called as magic methods? For example, let me write it here. Was this discussed with you in earlier lectures? Especially this concept would come when we start discussing the object-oriented programming in Python. If I'm not wrong, I was told that your object-oriented programming in Python was already covered. So I'm just asking this question. Uh, have you encountered this word magic methods in Python? Could you respond, please? Okay, not yet. Fine. So let us do one thing. We will now roll number and percentage. So let me define this as few, but I hope you are now acquainted with the object-oriented programming in Python. So whatever I'm typing, I hope it is not completely new to you. If I'm not wrong, we have discussed this once while solving one problem on LeetCode. Okay, so what I have on my screen, I have a class student, right? Student name, roll number, and percentage. So let me do one thing. Let me create few student objects. So how do I create student objects? S1 is equal to, you can create, is it, how do I create object in student? Do we need to write a new keyword here? It's not required. You can directly write student and you can mention a name. So let's call it as first student's name is Peter and let's call it as roll number 10 and let's call his percentage as 69.89. So he is student 1. Let me create student 2 and student 3 as well. Roll number 15, 68, and let me go 67 and roll number 19. Let's call it as John. Let's call him as Smith. Okay. So there will be student S1, S2, and S3. Fine. So now my question is, uh, if I want to create, for example, set of students is equal to set. I have created a set of students. Now to this set of students, I want to add these students S1, S2, and S3, right? And if I print length of set of students, can you guess the output before I execute this program? Can you guess the output of the execution of this Python script? What will be output of line number 18? What it would print? Would it print 3 or would it print error or would it print something different from 3? Okay, so let's execute this. What answer I got? 3, right? So as far as this program is concerned, all fine. I have set of students, 3 students, I've added it, right? Okay. So now let me do one thing. When I have S3, let me do, for example, let us do one thing. Let me take S4 And if I'm not wrong, I want to keep this. Mm, okay, and then I'll add S4 as well. Can you tell me now? Can you guess the output now? Okay. Any other output? See, what does set do? Does set allow duplicate elements? Does set allow duplicate elements? No, set doesn't allow duplicate elements. If set doesn't allow duplicate elements, if you look at S1, what it has? Same values as that of S4. S1 and S4 are exactly same. So going on the definition of set, set is not supposed to add that to this element. But let us check the output. What output you have received here? 4, right? So do you think is something is wrong with the way we have written program, or something, or the standard set is not performing as per our wish? What do you think? For example, here the length is 4, right? So something odd and strange, right? Here I have same object as this, that is same as one. Still my set added it to this because it didn't identify it as duplicate. But if I'm not wrong, if you do the same with the integers, like create a set of integers, add 1, 2, 2, and 4, it will add 2 only once, because 2 adding 2 twice to set will raise the duplicate element trigger. So now my question is, why is this behavior happening, and how could I solve this behavior? So let me tell you why I'm taking this. See, till now what is the program we have been doing without creating any classes. But frankly speaking, modern Python programs, they always have some kind of object oriented touch to it. Most Python frameworks like Django and from newer Python modules, even if it comes to a Scikit, TensorFlow, machine learning, they all revolve around object-oriented way of modeling the entities, and further syntax always depends on that. So this is very important to understand how objects are dealt when they are pushed into standard container types like set, dictionaries, or lists, how they behave and how we can control the behavior of these objects. So before we solve that, now tell me, is it a good behavior? Should we consider this as a default behavior and find out some workaround and move ahead? Or should we find out a right way to add objects of classes to a set? Do you think this is a standard behavior and we cannot modify this? Or what do you think the most logical thing should happen here? What is the most logical thing to happen here? So getting output of println 3 is a logically right output, or getting 4 is logically right as per our understanding? What do you think? What do you think, like, should be the standard behavior? Then accordingly we will we will see that how to get that standard behavior. So what is your opinion? Should we get output as 4 or should we get output as 3? Right now it is giving output as 4, but is 4 the right and logically expected and correct output? Yeah, so if you if you analyze it logically, you will understand that here we expect the output of this to be 3. And I want Python to recognize that if I pass object with same parameters, I want Python to recognize that S1 and S4 are same. So how do I tell that? To tell Python that two objects are same, if the internal fields are same, we need to rely on the built-in methods associated with the class in Python. And some of these built-in methods are called as magic methods. So let us see first demonstration of magic method. So now this prints the length. Now tell me, if I print S1, if I print just S1, what will be output? Let me execute. What I'm getting something called as main, student, and some value I'm getting. This is generally an hash code of that object, which is a unique representation of that object, right? Now, I don't want this big uninterpretable object output as the output when I print that object, but rather I want the student's name, the role, and percentage to be print properly. The one quick solution is to override a method called as strstr. This, you have to override this. So here, whatever you written, that is print as an actual output when I directly pass this object to the print method. So what I'll do is, I'll say name plus I'll give a space, name plus self dot I have name, right? Self dot name plus, and I'll call say roll number plus str of self dot roll plus, I'll have exact same string copied again, and this would be percentage. I'll call self dot clear. Okay. Fine. So now if you check output of S1, okay, what output you're getting here? Whatever the str method has written here, the same gets print as an output when this object is passed to this print method, right? I hope you are able to see this. We run it again. This is what you will see the output as. Name Peter, roll number this, and percentage some value. Let me also put some. Now it looks far better, right? And if I just comment this code, just observe how the output looks. How the output is looking? The default behavior, right? I hope you understood this. Clear? These are called as, so the method which I have overridden. See, what I have done is I have overridden the default method implementation called as underscore underscore str and double underscore. This method is specifically one of the magic methods of a class. Remember, every class in Python, the moment you define a class, it comes with some few built-in methods. And one such built-in method is strstr. And what's the role of this strstr? Whenever the object of this class student is passed to any print-like method, which does the which extracts the output and tries to print the value of that object, at that time, that object's strstr method is called. If that method has any implementation and whatever the string that method returns, that output gets printed on the prompt. It could be console or it could be even text file if output redirection is used. So the default behavior of this method is to print the module and the hash code of that object, the one which you just saw it last time. So if you override that, you are overriding that. Remember, when I do redefine this, I'm not defining them as a new method, but I'm overriding the previously defined strstr method. And this strstr method, we have many such methods. And out of that, there is a few set of methods which we call them as magic methods. And we can override for various purposes. So strstr will control how the object is represented in string format. So this is exactly similar. This method is exactly similar to toString method in Java. I hope you have used toString method in Java. Have you used toString? Yeah, so that's exactly similar to Java. And one more thing, like, see, do you want me to relate the syntactic structures in Python with Java and other language? Because I generally feel that when we know earlier languages, relating it with other languages helps in understanding the concept. But if you say that my Java language understanding is not good, then I'll not relate that, because that might even sometimes create more misunderstanding as well. I hope you are fine whenever I relate something to Java. Okay, so maximum I'll try to either relate it to Java or C++ or C, depending upon the concept. So in some cases, if you are unable to know, sir, we don't know what is toString, then let me know there and then. I will try to explain you in some different style. So this is str for this. Okay, so now if you execute, you get output. But did we get the solution to our problem S1, S2, and S4? No. So let me also take the output of this. So 4 and that. So we want to try and make that this length of student should be 3, not 4, without modifying something here. Now, as I told you, the str is for string representation. Likewise, we have two more magic methods. What are those? It is this one, and there is another one. You have to return. Okay, let me just write a default one. And there is another one called as hash. Okay, so we return some value here. Okay, so let us understand that. What I told you is every object in Python has a unique value associated with it called as hash value. What I told you is when we create an object has some memory allocated to it, and system by default assigns a hash code to it, and it is based on its own logic. And so every object has its own hash code. So this has its own code based on system and gets that some random hash code to it based on some standard internal algorithms. This has its own hash code, this has its own hash code, and this has its own hash code. So when a set tries to find a duplicate element when it is trying to add, it will not check the contents of that object. The default way a set checks for whether there is a duplicate element in it or not, it goes by the concept of checking its hash value, right? So technically, when I've added S1, S1 had one hash code. When I added S4, the hash code of this is different from S1, right? So instead of these objects, if I add integer number 1, and here if I add integer number 2, and if I add integer number 3, and here if I add integer number 1, the hash code of this standard integer 1 and the hash code of this will be exactly same. So at that point, the set detects that these two are duplicate elements. And that was for standard integer data type. So we have to define such behavior for objects as well, right? So by default, if you pass these objects as it is to set, it goes on standard internal value of hash code, right? And the internal value of hash code will be different for each object. So we cannot rely on internal representation of a hash to identify this that these two objects are same or unique. So what we need to do now, we need to take that control. What we need to do, we need to take that control and we need to define what will be the hash of that any object, right? So by default, let me comment this. For example, for a quickly, I'll comment this, and even this as well. I'll comment this one, right? Now, before I go ahead, I'll also comment it just for time's sake. Now, if I want to print the hash code of S1, what I say? I always call hash, and here I call it as S1. Let us see what value I get. And I'll also print the hash value of S4 as well. So if I execute this, you get these values. Do you see this? These are the internal hash code of that. Are they same? No, they are not same. They slightly differ. And who gave you this hash code? System. System has done some internal logic. Accordingly, it has given that. If the hash code of these two objects is same, set will say they are two different objects. So set is right. It didn't do anything wrong. So it behaved as it was asked to behave. So we have to define what will be the hash code of object. So to do that, we have to take control and we have to define what will be the hash. So for example, here what I'll do is the simplest of simplest, I will use the roll number as the hash value, a unique way of representing student. Okay, that's fine. So if I do this, return self.roll, now let me check what would be the output of these two codes. What I get now? Now if I print hash, what it's printing? 10 and 10. What is 10 and 10? The roll number which I passed. So now I am controlling, if I call hash, now I'm able to control a unique hash value for this object. Fine. So for a set, to detect if an element is equal or whether it's a duplicate or not, it compares two methods. What are those two methods? One, the hash value, and the equal. So what it does is it checks the value of these two methods, right? So first thing what it does is it checks. So when I add S1 and S4, the set checks, are S1 and S4 equal? So it checks are S1 and S4 are equal or not. So to do that, whenever I check two objects for their equality, okay, if I try to print, I want to check the equality of that. What I say, S1 is equal to S4. Execute this. What it says false. It says it is not equal to, because equal to was defined some different way. So I need to control how equal to works. So to control how equal to is works in case of objects, I can control that behavior by overriding method underscore underscore eq. This is also called as one magic method. So here the one object is self and another is other. So when I call S1 is equal to S2, S1 will be represented by self and S4 will be represented by this other variable here called as other. So when you will return, when you will say two students are equal, you will say two students are equal if both the roll numbers are same. For as of now, let us consider roll numbers as a unique field to compare two students. So now what I'll do, I will directly return self dot roll number, the result of comparison of self dot roll number with the other dot roll number. Okay, that's fine. So now if you check for earlier what output I received, false, but now if I execute this, let me see what output you will get. What output you are getting now? True. Why? Because now I have not left the Python's default logic to take over, but I have redefined or overridden the default behavior, how it should work if it is equal or whether if they change. So now coming back to this set definition. See, whenever you add to the set definition, the set checks whether two elements are equal or not. So how it works, I'll tell you. In order for two objects to be same, or in order two objects to be recognized as the duplicate elements, there is a condition. What it is? If the equal to method, if it returns true, then the hash value of that objects have to be same. Are you getting? If this method you are defining them to be true, then the hash value of that has to same. If the hash value of two objects is same, it is not necessary that the content of objects will be also same. Hash is always based on data. Remember, it's a global concept. And I don't think that would, at this stage, currently at third year stage, you might not be able to understand what is hash and how does standard message hashing algorithm works. But as of now, remember, in Python, whenever two objects are defined to be equal, their hash values have to be also equal, and the reverse might not necessarily be a true. Yeah, so as Mohammed has asked, what will S1 is equal to S2, will check. Okay, so I'll also come to, okay, you want to print S1 is equal to S2. Say if I say S1 is equal to S2, I have overridden this equal. So what it checks, the role of S1 will be compared with role of S2. What is role of S1 and S2? 10 and 15. So it should return you false. It should return you false. Okay. So only for S1 and S4 it returns you true. So yeah, so when you say S1 is equal to S4, it actually calls the equal of that two objects. And whatever you have defined, if this method returns true, then the Python considers both of them as true. Okay, without that magic function, they will be false. So they will see, without magic function, the default equality is behaved. It goes on hash codes, and the moment hash code differs, it says not equal. Okay, so we have defined equality, that if any two roll numbers match, it should be equal, and hash code is roll number. So now given all this, if I check the output of this, now if I check output of this same statement, you should now see output as 3. Do you see the output as 3? Earlier it was 4. Okay, so I have some few questions from Mohammed. So, but okay, what he's saying is, but hash code are same now due to hash magic function, then it should show true. See, that's a bit complex. Remember, if you override any of the behavior of hash and equals, you need to take care that the equal to definition and hash definition, they have to stick to the consistent behavior. And when I say consistent behavior, if hash codes are same, you have to override equal to return true based on hash codes. That's the consistent behavior. So that's why before for any class, if you ever try to override this two, you have to take extra care that hash code, if both the hash codes of two objects are equal, you have to make sure this also returns true in that case. By default, the default implementation Python that takes care of it. It uses some internal logic and some internal thing. But when you want to override, or when you want to check this, you have to make sure that these two are overridden. How? The hash codes have to be equal, and if hash codes are returning both as same, then you have to mandatorily override equal to return true if hash codes are true. I hope you got that point. So have you understood that? So I'll put one condition here. So what consistency says, if the consistency requirement is, if you say a equal to b equal to is true, that must imply that hash of a and hash of b are same. You have to always take care of this requirement when you're overriding that. So you cannot say that, you cannot override equal to such that a and b are true, but somehow their hash values are not true. That shouldn't happen. Okay, understood this? Have you understood? Have you understood this program? What we had, what was the problem? The earlier it used to give the output as 3, but output is 4, but how we have come to the output of 3. Have you understood this? Uh, okay, Darshan asks a question, what is def underscore init init? Okay, so can any other student answer him? What is this? ये क्या होता है? What is this init init? Can any other student answer for Darshan? Constructor. That's a constructor in Python. See, this is a way of defining a constructor in Python. I hope you have connected. Okay, so understood what are these magic methods? This is magic method, right? These all are magic methods. Now, almost it's 10:30. I will leave you small concept for you to work on your own. I want to see if I say S1 less than S2, what will be output of this? S1 less than or S2. I have defined what do you mean by equal. I have defined what is hash. What do you think? What will be output of S1 less than S2? False. Okay. What do you get? It says that you have not defined, say, you have not defined how two objects will compare. So if it is integers, that's fine. You know what is natural ordering. So I will randomly take two students from your class. For example, I'll take Darshan and I'll take Sumit. And I ask the class to compare Darshan with Sumit. The next question you will ask me, sir, how to compare Darshan with Sumit? Should I compare them on their height, weight, or how should I compare them, right? Exact question Python is asking you. You have asked Python to compare student S1 with S2. So Python is asking you, I don't know how to compare them. You have not told me. So in order to tell Python how to compare this, there is a magic method. There is one more magic method. I'll tell you what it is. What is that? It is called as LT, less than. Likewise, we have almost, see, there is one method called as less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to. So I'll just define this method. And here, what you need to do, you need to return Boolean value. So what you have to return, you have to compare. If I want to compare two students, you have to decide. I will compare them on, let's say, I'll compare them on, let's say I'll compare them on percentage. Let us do, instead of roll number, I'll compare them on percentage. If it is less than other dot percentage, just return whatever this operation results, that would be the output of that. Now if you execute this, what it says? False. S1 less than S2. What is percentage of S1? 69. Percentage of S2 is 68. 69 less than, you are saying no. Student S1 is not less than S2 because he has more percentage than student S2. That's what the meaning of this print. Okay, so now if I call S2 greater than S2, what will output of this? Let's see if you can guess output of this code. What will output of this? S1 greater than S2? It's once again, it will say, I don't know how to compare, or what it is saying, what it did do. S1 greater than, true. It has inferred this method on LT. But if you want to specifically override, you can always override it based on GT. We have one more method called as greater than. And when does it call? When does it gets called? Whenever you compare greater than, a magic method GT is called. Likewise, if you say less than or equal to, LE, this method is called. These are called as magic methods. Okay. So now this, why are we learning magic methods? What do you think? Why we go for these magic methods? Now, if you recall our Kruskal, Prims, and Dijkstra, we have been representing edge as a list of lists. But remember, instead of that, we can represent the edge as a class edge with u, v, and cost. And if you recall our heap queue, I can now create a heap of student objects as well. Earlier, we created heap of integers. We can also create heap of student objects as well. Now, when we want to create a heap of student objects, tell me what should I override? I need to always override less than, because there we compare whether the root element value is less than child element value or not. If you do not have this defined, you create, see, just assume if you comment this, you cannot have heap of student objects. In order to have a heap of student objects, you need to override a magic method LT, because that's how you need to define what is less than, what is greater than. Okay, so I hope you understood what are magic methods in Python, and we have many such magic methods. For example, I'll do one thing. If you want all them in one, I'll share a good link with you where you can go through that. If you want to even check what are available magic methods, you can do one thing. For example, let me quickly show you how to get list of all Python methods. Okay, the best thing is to just, for integer, if you do dir of integer, it gives you a lot of methods. These are all called as magic methods. You can see here LE, LT and all that. So for you, I'll say a good link with you. Go through that, you will understand what are magic methods and how it is. Gurnath has said that, is it equal to or similar to operator overloading in C++? Yes, you can relate it to that concept. So for understanding, you can safely relate it to that concept of operator overloading. Okay, the link which I shared, go through that and go to this, and you can now create a heap of edge, and you can define which edge is less, which edge is greater based on cost and all that. So if time permits, someday we will visit all that algorithms using this advanced Python data structures. And do you think that this type of concepts are there in C++ and Java? Yes, C++ has this all this concept in C++, but that goes into a separate section called a standard template library. In Java too, you have all this, but in Java, it is under a topic called as Java collections. So as I tell you, for any language which you will be learning, do not skip this collections framework of any language. It's very important. Okay, so understood how to override, how to take control of this, how this magic method works. I hope you have understood this. Okay, so I think that's it from my side for this lecture, and I hope I have recorded this, and I'll, if this is all fine, I'll upload this to YouTube. You can go through that. This concept we require very frequently in all further programs. So that time, if you know this concept, it would be easier to understand the program quickly. Okay, so that's it from my side. I'll end this lecture. Okay, fine. Thank you.